Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite films. It pretty much goes without saying why I love it so much. I'm a sucker for sci-fi movies. It's my favorite genre of media, period. Whether it's a horror sci-fi or an action sci-fi or a comedy sci-fi, it does not matter. I love it all. Now, Jurassic Park as a franchise is, well, somewhat consistent in quality. The first two sequels, Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, while definitely flawed movies, are still great in my eyes. I know many people don't really like Jurassic Park 3, but I personally love this movie. It's just so much fun, and the sheer ridiculousness of it makes it even an even more enjoyable ride. Plus, another thing I can appreciate about the first three movies is that they all have solid runtimes. Jurassic Park 3, again, while not a perfect movie, doesn't waste your time with so much needless filler and gets straight to the point. And now we get into the Jurassic World trilogy. Now, I do quite like the first Jurassic World movie. Does it have its glaring flaws? Absolutely. But it was still a nice return to the franchise after more than 10 years of dormancy. And the final act of this movie is just so fucking great. I still love the third act so much. Without a doubt, my favorite part of the whole movie. With that being said, it should have just stopped right there. Because the two movies that followed, oh boy. Fallen Kingdom was fucking terrible. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Dominion was terrible. Oh yeah, you came to watch a movie about dinosaurs? Yeah, let's just go ahead and prioritize grasshoppers as the main threat in a Jurassic Park movie. And that's just scratching the bare surface of these movies' problems. But the movie I want to talk in particular about in today's video is Fallen Kingdom specifically. I personally hate this movie the most out of all the Jurassic Park media out there. This movie is awful, and I'm going to explain why I think it's even worse than Dominion. Yes, worse than the Grasshopper movie. Don't get me wrong, Dominion is still a pile of shit, but Fallen Kingdom is where the shitstorm really began in this whole trilogy. And it honestly pisses me off way more than Dominion does. The only real praise I can give Fallen Kingdom is the soundtrack, on the same level that I can only praise The Last Night for its soundtrack. So why is this movie so bad in my opinion? First of all, the fact that this movie is two different movies strung together. The first half of this movie is a rescue operation at Isla Nublar, focusing on the main characters diverting the dinosaurs out of the island and into safer grounds. That in itself could have been its own movie as a whole. The second half of this movie takes us to this strange Harry Potter mansion, where the plot now focuses on dinosaurs being trafficked and bought off the black market. Again, another big plot point that could have just been its own movie. The movie basically crammed these two halves together to create this unstable mess. And this movie is long, and like I said in my Birdemic 3 video, movies that drag are an absolute pain to sit through. I've seen longer movies than Fallen Kingdom for sure, but it really drags and feels longer than those movies. But this is just the beginning. Now let's talk about our main character, Owen Grady. I don't really like him that much. He's basically just Superman in a Jurassic Park movie. This guy has no flaws. Two movies in and he's still Mr. Perfect in every way. I didn't mind Grady in the first movie, wasn't a big fan of him being this flawless character who's always right about everything and always makes jokes as the voice of reason, but he worked for me. Then came this movie. And once again, he's written as this perfectly flawless man with Mary Sue powers and plot armor to save the day for him. Like, I know he's kind of a drunk mess at the start of this movie, but nothing is built upon it. As soon as Claire convinces him about Mount Sibo, he just goes into Superman mode again. Oh yeah, he's a badass that doesn't let anybody come to his rescue. Everybody knows a real man can never show any flaws or make mistakes. Ha, who needs that? Owen Grady had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning. Honestly, I definitely prefer Bryce Dallas Howard's character in this case. I like how in the first movie she actually was a very flawed person. She was basically a corporate shield engine and didn't believe that creating a genetic hybrid could bring disastrous consequences. She initially only saw profit, she didn't see the harm that this could do. It's only after the great danger that both her nephews and the rest of the people on the island were put in that she ultimately realized what a great mistake they had made, and what a bad idea it was for InGen to put profit over morality. It definitely adds to Ian Malcolm's iconic line from the first movie. Yeah, this technically is just a repeat of the same arc we got with John Hammond in the first movie, but it's something at least. But not much else is done with her character in this movie. She's just sort of there to move the plot along and tag with Owen Wilson on their little adventure. She definitely has grown as a person from the last movie for sure, but she's just kind of for the ride in this movie. Which is unfortunate because Mr. Perfect Man definitely doesn't carry this movie very well. Okay, so the protagonist can't really carry this story. What about the villains? That's even worse. The human villain is completely forgettable, and the Indoraptor, the Indoraptor. I really dislike the Indoraptor, and I'm tired of people defending this fucking thing. It barely shows up in the movie at all, and when it finally does, it's just so incredibly lame. The scariest thing he does is when he kills this dime store Sergeant Hartman, and then after that, he proceeds to turn into a slasher villain. You know, because that's what dinosaurs do after all. They're not just hungry animals. No, they actively revel in killing people and hunting them down. Look, I know the Indominus Rex had this personality as well, but at least the Indominus actually impacted the story in a meaningful way that brought consequences. The most the Indoraptor does is kill the auctioneer people, then he goes after the little girl, and then he gets killed. Wow, what a great fucking villain. He clearly was just written in to be a third act boss and nothing more. He barely has a presence in this movie because the most he does is fuck around for a little. I'm pretty sure the only reason people like the Indoraptor is for its design. And I admit, it's a cool looking dinosaur for sure. But unfortunately, its design alone doesn't redeem it for me because it does next to nothing in this movie. He's just there, and then before you know it, he's already defeated. Such a waste of what could have been an awesome dinosaur villain. It kinda reminds me of a certain other character. Finally, I want to go into what I despise the most about this movie. Maisy. Oh, Maisy. I hate this character so much. I hate her more than the Indoraptor and anything else in this movie. Maisy is the single worst human character in this whole franchise. First of all, the obvious, the stupid ass clone twist. You didn't need this twist at all. It doesn't serve any crucial purpose to the story of this movie beyond being a shocking revelation. The worst part is, the minion basically confirmed that she wasn't a clone after all, so what the fuck was even the point of this twist? It doesn't push the story in any meaningful way. The only thing it does is contribute to her decision at the end of the movie, which, oh boy, I loathe this choice she makes. They're alive, just like me. You wanna know who else is alive like you? Serial killers. I guess I should just let them kill me because they're alive like me after all. You were clearly given an idea about how dangerous these animals can be, and yet you still set them loose to the world because you somehow think that you are in an equal caliber to dinosaurs because you're a fucking clone. How fucking stupid are you, kid? This fucking brat basically doomed humanity. Literally, all of this is her fault, and she gets off scot free for making this absolutely incredibly stupid decision. I can't with this fucking character, man. Ugh. Anyways, she's a bit more tolerable in Dominion at least, but I absolutely couldn't stand her in this movie. I genuinely wonder what was going through the writer's head when they wrote this bit in the movie. Oh yeah, and the ending of this movie sets up a world where dinosaurs now live amongst humans. An interesting idea that Dominion unfortunately did a poor job at depicting. If you want a story that actually pulls this off better, I highly suggest Chaos Theory. And yeah, everything this movie establishes and sets up basically means nothing in Dominion. Oh, but Cosmic, what about that scene with the Brachiosaur? Wasn't that just a tearful moment? No! It was an emotionally manipulative and pretentious scene. It's like, oh yeah, our story is pretty much a mess, but look, we killed off the Brachiosaur from the first movie. Ain't that just something impactful? You know, this scene is quite symbolic, actually, for the wrong reasons, and I don't think I need to explain why. Fallen Kingdom is ultimately a massive waste of time. The only reason you should watch this fucking train wreck is so that you have a better understanding of Dominion, or even better, Chaos Theory. But again, like I said before, most of what it establishes barely means anything in Dominion anyway. We could have had a movie about the Giganotosaurus and other dinosaurs terrorizing people and seeing the drastic impact they had on human civilization and the environment. But no, Dodson is what we need to focus on here, because we cared so much about him, right? But yeah, I dislike both Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, but Fallen Kingdom just infuriates me more. At least Dominion has the OG cast, even if it was a huge waste of these characters, and ultimately just a nostalgia bait play. And plus, at this point in the series, it's hard to even get mad anymore because it's just what you expect at this point. Now, Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory are a different story. Honestly, if we just had the first Jurassic World and then these two series, I would have been perfectly fine with it, because as it is, Fallen Kingdom and Dominion didn't do much to push this overall story, especially Fallen Kingdom. The most Fallen Kingdom did, I say, is introduce that fucking terrible laser pointed raptors idea, which is just a really stupid design. A regular ass gun is a more practical weapon. Or are they just trying to follow up on Vincent D'Onofrio's speech from the first movie? Oh my god, it's clever foreshadowing, you guys. Yeah, you know what? Never mind, I take back everything I said. This whole trilogy is genius. 10 out of 10. Would watch 1,000 times again. Anyways, I can't wait for Jurassic World 4 Age of Extinction. Now, that will definitely be the cinematic event of the century.